Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Gurmukh Singh, and I'm here today to talk with Sikhs about a very important matter. This is about a woman, a Yogi Bhajan follower, who's completely disrespecting and perpetrating a fraud against the Sikh religion. She uses the name Yogi Bhajan gave her, which is Gurmukh Kaur Khalsa. And yet, she is promoting all kinds of Hindu events, like a fire puja she is now proposing to have in the parking lot of her yoga studio in Hollywood, California. She's hosting a Swami who she's become very close to. She visits him in Rishikesh 2 or 3 times a year and has had many, many yoga festivals there at his Hindu ashram. Many of you may have seen some of the pictures I've posted with her and the other Yogi Bhajan followers having Hindu fire pujas, doing Hindu artis. Frankly, she should become a Hindu. That is what Sikhs would like her to do, is just become a Hindu and take away her Sikh name. It's a complete disrespect and embarrassment to Sikhs around the world. Now let's look at this woman's newsletter, and I'll show you the proof of her hosting this Hindu fire puja in the parking lot of her yoga studio. This is a newsletter that was just sent out today. And you can see here, she says, blessed to celebrate in their parking lot a contained fire. Beautiful prayer, blah, 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 chanting a message from the holy banks of the Mother Ganga through our beloved Swamiji. This is this Swami she's hosting there. And then she talks all about Lord Krishna's birthday. She says, Lord Krishna ignited the souls of thousands of people to unconditional love. Now, this is not what a Sikh should be doing. Sikhs believe in one God. We do not believe in these Hindu deities or worshiping stone idols or doing these fire puja rituals. I have nothing against what Hindus do. In fact, if you're a Hindu, you should be a good Hindu. But if you're a Sikh, you should be a good Sikh. And this is completely against the Sikh religion, against the Sikh Rahe Maryada, or the Sikh Code of Conduct. Gurmukh Kaur needs to either drop these rituals, these Hindu rituals, and stop doing them, denounce them, or she needs to change her name. And she needs to make her name into a Hindu name rather than Sikh name, and stop wearing a Sikh dastar or turban. People see her. I see people all the time on the street. They ask me, oh, you're part of that Yogi Bhajan group. Well, I'm not, I tell them. And it's quite frankly, it's very an embarrassment and very insulting that this Gurmukh Kaur, this woman, this yoga teacher, who is a yoga teacher to the stars and has a lot of publicity out there about her activities, is misrepresenting and disrespecting the Sikh religion. Let's look at some more pictures of her doing these Hindu pujas and the other Yogi Bhajan people doing them. And I'll read a little bit about what other people are saying about her actions. This was from a Sikh website, and I'll read to you a quotation from the Sikhs' 10th Guru. Guru Gobind Singh Ji says, so long as Khalsa retains his distinct identity, I will give him my entire radiance and strength. But if he should take a non-Sikh way of life, then I shall have no confidence in him and withdraw my support and protection. Now this you can see how Gurmukh Kaur is supported by SikhNet also. And these Yogi Bhajan followers, they worship Hindu idols. You can see them here in Espanola worshiping this golden idol. You see them bowing to these stones, doing these rituals there at their events. This is Yogi Bhajan and that golden idol there in Espanola. They're proposing making a 10-foot high bronze statue of Yogi Bhajan there in Espanola. So it's not just Gurmukh Kaur. It's all of these Yogi Bhajan, or many of these Yogi Bhajan followers who are participating in these Hindu activities. Let us look at Gurmukh Kaur's Khalsa's name. The one whom 3HO is so blithely dismissed as a popular yogini. Her first name is Gurmukh. Forget the nonsensical YB translation. Gurmukh is a very powerful word from Gurbani, meaning that person whose face is forever turned towards the Guru. And that means Guru Nanak and his successors, and not some Hindu Swami or the demigod Shiva. Sometimes in Gurbani, Gurmukh refers to Gur Sahib himself. How can a Gurmukh be doing Hindu pujas? Second name is Kaur, meaning a princess of the Khalsa. The last name is Khalsa. Anyone who calls themselves Khalsa must live as a reflection of Guru Gobind Singh Ji and his rahe, or his code of conduct. Otherwise, they should call themselves something else. She, Gurmukh Kaur, can do as much Hindu puja as she likes, but she should spare the Khalsa the embarrassment of having to see it plastered all over the internet. And now she's bringing it to Hollywood, right here in California. She was going to Rishikesh, but now you can see her here in Rishikesh worshiping this Hindu Devi, goddess. You can see how Yogi Bhajan put these Hindu goddesses and forms all around his ranch in Espanola in New Mexico there too. It is absolutely against the Sikh Rahe Marriott, or the Sikh Code of Conduct, and is very insulting to the Khalsa, and indeed to all Sikhs, especially those whose relatives were slaughtered and raped by Hindus in 1984. I don't know why Gurmukh Kaur doesn't change her name to Shiva Dasi Devi. That would be more in keeping with her practices. For Yogi Bhajan and now his students to indulge in Hindu practices, such as having a homa, fire puja, a ceremony in front of the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib to visit astrologers, as he did on a regular basis, to give people Sikh names through numerology rather than consult the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib, I could go on, is totally hypocritical. His disciples are now following in his footsteps too. The 3HO people may do whatever Hindu practices they like. There's no law against it. But the name Khalsa, when the overwhelming majority of them neither recites Panch Bani or wear Panch Kaka, is hypocritical in the extreme. Of course, this is really Yogi Bhajan's fault for a really stupid decision to name all his students Singh, Kaur, Khalsa, no matter what their level of commitment was to Sikhi. I believe this has deeply wounded the image of the Khalsa Panth in America. And these are some writings from other Sikhs. Now, this was a letter or post that was posted on the Gurmat Learning Zone by a former Yogi Bhajan follower. His name is Vikram Singh. And he's one of the very few people who remained a Sikh after leaving Yogi Bhajan's group. And I want to read to you what he writes there about his observations of the Yogi Bhajan group. As an American Sikh, and this is Vikram speaking, 20 years as a Bhajanist and 24 as an ordinary Sikh, I have heard this kind of talk many times. When I was a Bhajanist, the level of understanding of Sikh history, Sikh Rahat Maryada, Punjabi culture and history of our Guru Sahib amongst my peers was abysmal, verging on non-existent. In addition, the level of arrogance that we had the right way of Sikhi, or that we were ongoing to save Sikhi from extinction, was extremely high. Personally, I'm deeply disturbed by what I see happening in the Bhajanist movement. In the field of teaching Kundalini Yoga, the movement seems to be expanding exponentially. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but the New Age people, sorry, I can't think of a better term, to whom the Bhajanists are teaching this yoga, are very open and somewhat familiar with Hindu terminology practices. Thus, Kundalini Yoga they teach veers more and more towards Hindu practices. The Bhajanist movement is becoming more and more Hindu-like. Sadly, no one amongst them seems to care. Few Bhajanists have any idea of what sacrifices were made by those who went before to maintain the purity of Sikhi in the face of the relentless drive of certain factions amongst the Hindus to subsume Sikhi back into the relentless juggernaut of Hindu Vata. They don't care about the persecution, genocide, and economic warfare pursued by the Indian government against Sikhs in India. Instead, they have this arrogance that they have the true path of Sikhi and that the Punjabis will somehow have to follow along. This kind of talk makes me very sad, and I only see further misunderstanding and miscommunications in the future between Bhajanists and the Punjabi original Sikhs. So, these are some thoughts about what's happening there in the 3HO group and Yogi Bhajan's group. And I want to close this video by referring some books that I have found very useful. This book here, which you can see the title to on the screen, is Sikhism and Tantric Yoga by Dr. Trilochan Singh, who spent months with Yogi Bhajan, and you can download it on my website, gurmukhyoga.com. It's free. It was a real eye-opener for me. He talks about how Yogi Bhajan taught these Hindu Shiv Shakti practices and how Yogi Bhajan's group is veering more and more into these Hindu Vata practices. It needs to stop. Sikhs need to protest these events like Gurmukh Kaur is holding, this fire puja at her yoga studio at parking lot in Los Angeles and Hollywood. Write me on Facebook, write me on YouTube. I'll put my phone number even there too. Let's organize a protest. Let's get the word out that these people are not Sikhs, that they need to be shunned, that they need to be shown that they are disrespectful of the Sikh religion and don't represent the Sikh religion. We can talk to them, but they need to change. And they need to drop these names, or they need to shun these Hindu practices. I've also written a book called Confessions of an American Sikh, which I'll be happy to send you a free copy of as a PDF if you write me, or you can purchase it on Amazon for 99 cents. It tells about my experiences and how I came to realize that what Yogi Bhajan taught was completely against Sikh teachings. And now you can see the result of this, how Gurmukh Kaur and these other Yogi Bhajan followers have no second thought about hosting Hindu pujas, Hindu fire ceremonies, Hindu rituals, and are completely insulting the Sikh religion with their activities and their practices. So I realized this after spending several years in India at the Darbar Sahib, the Sikhs' holiest shrine there, which many Westerners know as the Golden Temple. And I met true Sikhs, people who are considered Gur Sikhs, or ones that are really dedicated to the true Sikh religion. And I read this book, Sikhism and Tantric Yoga, and realized the Yogi Bhajan's teachings are completely against the Sikh teachings. Let's stand together as Sikhs and protest these anti-Gurmat practices of Gurmukh Kaur and not let the public think that Sikhs do these kind of things. Thank you for your time. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.